we're started?
Hello. Yes.
Oh, my cameras are not. There I am.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like
there.
I'm looking at. Well, I was looking at you changing audio settings for a moment.
Well, let's listen. Sometimes some people have to pull up their audio cable real quick and just turn that sucker on.
It's fair. Hello everyone. Welcome. Kato is sick. We hope Kato and his partner don't have COVID. We think they don't have COVID, but they are sick. There's a lot of shit going around. In addition to, look, COVID going around also means that colds and flus are going around at. Oh my god, what are you are? What is?
I'm getting chat
What
up.
are you doing?
I'm getting chat up. Let me live. Jesus Christ.
Just watching recursive Patrick like displayed 7 times on the screen while I talk. Nothing, no mind fucky about that. Anyway, so hopefully that will not completely derail. You know, Rob's supposed to be coming into New York this week. Rob's not even on this fucking stream, so Lord knows what he's doing. But we'll figure it out. And you know, I'm gonna knock on wood. There's wood behind here. There's studs behind this wall that Kato will be all right and able to join us for the stream later this week. But we thought in lieu of that, we didn't really plan for a podcast, like play any games, have much to talk about. There's this Insomniac stuff and Sony stuff that we should probably touch on before we get into the mailbag. The shit show that is happening with old Jim Ryan over there. But and also here's a question: is this the start of the podcast? I don't know. Like we're recording this, doing it live because we thought it'd be fun to do like a live mailbag. But is like this gonna get cut out? I don't know. Is Rob gonna do another intro?
I know that I just hit start on the backup.
Right. And I didn't hit record on. Okay, it doesn't. That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Okay, so none of this counts. Hey, everyone.
I mean, it counts for you.
Welcome to Secret 5 Minutes Before the Podcast. Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, chat. Come into our kitchen. Watch how Waypoint cooks. Not literally. The kitchen setups are really hard to do.
Maybe
so
one day. One day we'd like you to watch Waypoint cook, but it's more.
Get in the kitchen. Let's cook. Come on, gamers.
What did Rob? Hey, thanks, Rob. Thanks for joining us. That's mighty kind of you to
pop in,
join the stream. How's it going?
Oh, really poorly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, like it's. So we had our first heat wave. This weekend. We should do a clap in because we're now in it.
Is this it now? So now we are in the pod.
We're in the pod.
Okay, all right.
Now we're in the
okay,
pod.
we can clap. Chat, if you also would like, if you would like to clap with us, like if that would make you feel closer to the Waypoint experience, like you can do this with us. I mean, it'll be if you go to time.is.
This is the most parasocial thing that Waypoint has ever done is asking people to clap with us.
This is we haven't done this before, and so I'm just I feel like we've done a clap live once or twice before for I can't remember what for. Anyway, we're up. All right, I'm at time.is.
Right,
I'm just reducing. I'm reducing.
Can you boost me a little bit because I have to keep my gain low today because that construction.
You are boosted to 200%.
All right. Well, if it's still too low for chat, I might.
Yeah, I will reduce Patrick and then
myself a little bit more.
It's okay.
Just boost yourself and Kato will figure it out.
I'm reducing Patrick and I'll boost my whole computer. We're fine.
Yeah, Kato will figure it out.
He will.
He will.
So just Rob. You know what? Boost as much as you'd like.
There we go.
Give Kato a little audio treat.
Kato doesn't like it when it's too easy.
Yeah. Oh, just had to slap these files together and hit export. Ooh.
Kato likes to get his hands in the meat of a file, you know? You know? When do we want to clap?
Let's go on 22.
Yep.
Oh, it's on. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the stream.
All right, we're going to have to clap again.
No. I thought I was on time. I am. I have time
that
is in a different chat, but I had the stream open. I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm here. And then it been too late realized I was watching a delayed stream.
Well, let's clap on 46.
As Rob swivels around in his chair.
Oh, no, just had a roll of thunder.
Oh, a nice New York breeze just blew my bagel bag off my desk.
Only in New York, baby.
Only in New York, baby. Got my bagel bag. Got my cold spring wind.
We do the clap, and then I would say 1 out of 10 Kato comments, he will say, I mean, we don't need to do the clap.
We don't need to.
And then we do. But then we do the clap because like Kato, it's nice that he's like I'd be able to figure it out. It's good. I've got plenty. It's like no, just
Well,
isn't it
have
nice
you
to have a
noticed
third-
Kato no longer claps?
He doesn't.
He doesn't. That motherfucker.
No, so according to Kato, he puts a marker in the file. He just does like a little shift M.
Do you trust that he does that every time?
Oh my god.
I
How?
do.
I
You
do.
Oh, that,
No, I do because I remember when Rob and I recorded a podcast in the office, we did watch Kato taking live notes for the edit.
Hold on, Ren. Did that experience make you trust Kato more or less?
You know what? That's a really good point.
Because the issue we ran into was that in the note-taking process, Kato appeared to shut off the recording a couple times. But I don't think that's what was happening. It was just like the ways that software sort of handled live project files. But it was like one of those things where you can do an alarming click in in recording software, and it just looks like you killed everything. But then you click somewhere else and nothing's disappeared. Anyway, point is,
extremely funny.
should I do a normal podcast opening for this, or should we just get into it?
No, let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just
Just
okay,
lean
so-
into
Hey,
it.
let's go. Let's get in the kitchen.
So
I
here's
guess what
the deal.
episode is it? We should at least tell people what episode it is. Right?
Well,
Which one is?
there's been some dispute between Waypoint.gay and Kato of late.
Really?
They've been fighting.
They're fighting. I don't think they're talking, but it appears they've been one episode apart in their interpretation.
Per
We got
Waypoint.gay,
Yeah, load it up.
483. Because last
Yeah.
numbered episode was 482, but the Inquisitor is hot. That's correct.
Okay, but then
483.
the folder he uploaded the other week though was like 481. Anyway, it all comes out in the wash. So yeah.
What's your? Oh no, we assided you with like 3 different asides.
Well, so the thing is, we had our first heat wave
Yeah.
this week.
Is the heat wave because of the weather outside or because of all the cooking that's happening in
Mhm,
separate
mhm,
aside?
mhm.
Hold on, before
Oh.
you go further, did you eat the cookies?
No.
Thank Christ.
Well, they would have been fine.
Well, the dough is still chill. Like it keeps, but I didn't want to bake it anyway because the heat wave, the aforementioned heat wave. So my building has a building-wide heating cooling system that is mutually exclusive. It can be in heating mode or it can be in cooling mode. And it's a building-wide like flip that takes about a day to execute if everything goes well. This year, as is frequently the case in this building, they went in to turn on the air conditioning and discovered that over the winter, a fault had developed. And so on the first day, it was going to be like north of 85 with a weekend like in the upper 80s, low 90s. They're like, we can't turn on the air conditioning. Good luck. And so my apartment has not been below 83 degrees for about 4 days. But most of the weekend, it was like 93 in my apartment.
Humid? Yes or no?
It's so I would
Because
say
that's
yes.
like a big critical fact. Like for me, I can stand. Like if it like this, like sort of like when you go to Vegas or something like that, where like go to a desert where it's like, hey, oh man, it's 100 degrees. Like 100-degree dry heat. Yeah, it's you got to account for it, but it doesn't really bother me. It's like as the humidity, it could be 70s, and if it's swampy humid, it's miserable, in a totally different way.
Yeah, as someone who lives in a coastal city that has been hitting 70 every once in a while the last few days, there was one day we recorded a podcast and it was a swampy 70, and I was gone. I have never gotten up from a recording and changed clothes faster. That was a fucking nightmare. How swampy is it, Rob?
It's like one of those things where like sweating still helps. Like it's not one of those things where you're just like drenched in sweat and also now you're just like exactly as hot as before but just wet.
Like your own personal sauna suit.
Right.
Just not in a cool.
That's how I was. That's how I was
both
last
MK and I
podcast
did notice,
recording.
like midway through this weekend, we were like, though, our hips and backs and neck feel great. Like,
so you're
this
getting
is horrible.
Oh, this is why people move to Florida and Arizona.
Literally, MK said that exact thing, where she was like, I kind of understand why old people end up going down to Florida, because like as miserable as I am, like there are some things that don't hurt that often do.
Incredible.
But yeah, so it was a like just unrelenting. And so I spent the entire weekend like in lizard mode, where like if you don't move, you can be comfortable.
I love lizard mode.
Just don't move.
Do you close your eyes in lizard mode?
No, you can like watch TV.
Do y'all know
Is playing a game like the control, is that exerting too much effort for lizard mode?
For me, it was. I couldn't handle by daylight. I could not handle the intellectual demands of Warhammer Chaos Gate. I was like, this is far too spicy to play while the sun is high in the sky.
I have a question. Is lizard mode accompanied by snake? Are you familiar with snake meal?
No.
My girlfriend sent me a post last night describing snake meal. This is a thing that now I'm going to describe an unhealthy behavior.
Snake meal sounds like the sort of thing that a Silicon Valley tech bro is selling to me because he doesn't want to eat food anymore. It's like, well, actually, I'll just convert it to snake meal now.
So snake meal is a thing that I do when I'm not feeling great, where instead of 3 meals a day, I just do 1 big meal and then take a nap immediately afterwards, and that meal is snake meal.
Okay, I know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Because the snake has a big old meal, and then it has to digest that whole little like cartoon bump in its like gullet.
Is that how bodies work?
No, it's not. Don't do it. It's not good.
Yeah,
it is the product
I'll add that
of
to the list.
Well, hold on. It's how snake bodies work.
You know what? That's a really
like
good
if you're
point.
a snake listening to this and you hear Ren not endorsing that, hold on. Don't want to give you a snake eating disorder. Like
what is
you
going?
know, you can't eat the mouse or the rat in like stages. You just gotta go.
Have to.
Like,
If you're a snake,
did a snake write this?
If you're a snake listening to our podcast right now, please do not listen to my advice about snake.
Look, Rob just wants his podcast to be as inclusive as possible. And that
to
also
snakes
means,
specifically.
Yeah, that also means.
Hang on, I
people-
should be clear. Well, hang on.
No, someone Greenberg.
Is it
MD,
technically a fursona if the animal doesn't have fur?
That's a scaly. Greenberg in the chat says
Thank you.
if you can
Is it
unhinge
really
your
called a
jaw.
scaly?
Yes, if you can unhinge your jaw, don't listen to Ren. I can unhinge my jaw. In this case, I should not listen to me, and this is why I do snake meal, is because I can unhinge my jaw on command.
Yeah, so I would say it was not a snake meal situation because one of the things that could you can't live the snake meal life if ice cream is your air conditioning, as it frequently was this weekend, where I was like, I just like literally right now there's a thing of mint chocolate chip ice cream, and that is the only thing that sounds like it will make life bearable for a few more minutes. But yeah, so I
did this during one humid stretch. I'll claim it was for the children, but instead I just got out a sprinkler. I don't know if you have access to a hose at your building, and then just put out a lawn chair, and I just said, "Hey kids, it's time to jump through the sprinkler." And it was just me like laying in the grass with a lawn chair with a beer, covering it up as the sprinkler would pass over me, and just letting the sprinkler douse me every 45 seconds.
Yeah, so MK played about 12 hours a day of Elden Ring.
Nice.
So
She's
that
probably
was,
past me at this point. We're like, when are we gonna do the Elden Ring spoiler
Dude,
cast? When Kyle
we're just gonna have to have
finish
MK
it,
on that
and
one.
we're just gonna have to have MK on at this point because
MK was in places. MK was in places I've never seen, even on Twitter, killing monsters I've never heard of, things that were significantly larger than anything I've seen.
I know where MK is.
Yeah. So it was. I was just like, every time I look up, I'm just like, okay, well, I am never going to be like. Also, like watching her shotgun like 24 hours of like Elden Ring time, and still like be deep in that game. I'm like, well, I'm not beating that.
No one's beating
She's
it.
played 24 hours of that.
No one is ever beating it.
Well, Rob also named Demon's Souls his game of the year and played like a fraction of it.
Oh yeah. And I might do that with Elden Ring.
If you played the same
rock.
fraction of Demon Souls,
yes,
of Elden
but
Ring,
except that it just ended up being so much more time in Elden Ring.
It would still be 60 hours.
Yeah. So is it pouring? It's pouring. Thank God. I hope that's good. I hope it is good that it is pouring.
As Rob puts out a bucket to catch some drips in his.
I'll be honest. I still haven't beat Elden Ring. Like also in my defense, I got to Millennia. I haven't played since I got to Millennia.
Is giving up on Elden Ring and not because you can't beat Millennia part of the story of your character?
No, I'm not. I didn't give up on Elden Ring. I've just been doing other shit, Patrick.
My character has a lot of other stuff going on right now. My character
is too busy
reasons,
experiencing the narrative resurgence of 2022 that I can't beat Millennia.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
My character needed to balance the books this weekend and open a savings account.
All right.
Anyway,
I played like 100 hours of that game in 2 weeks.
It's such a big game.
I had to take a break.
It's and also everything I'm saying is just like indicating, why did I make a bandit? Why did I do that? Why did I do it again? Why did I do the same thing?
Why would you make a bandit?
I could just be out there, wreathed in magics.
Yeah, faith builds are so fun in this. They made faith so fun. This has become a quick diatribe about Elden Ring. Elden Ring made faith so fun. Faith has been like fine in previous Souls games, but like Faith in Elden Ring is so fucking fun. You can do so much wacky shit with Faith. Oh, that game's interpretation of what the word faith means, incredible. It is delicious to see what that video game thinks the word faith means. It's belief in something, that's for fucking sure.
Well, maybe before we get to the mailbag, I do feel like this broke as we were recording on Thursday, but I feel like given the fact that Sony's Jim Ryan, like the email he sent about the ongoing fallout from the potential Roe v. Wade shit at the Supreme Court, and then did you read this Insomniac stuff this morning?
No.
Okay. Well, I guess, Ren, if I send you a Bloomberg link, I guess have you hit your
me.
Bloomberg free limit?
I don't think I've hit my Bloomberg free limit for the month.
Let's
see.
Send you the first one.
Maybe she'll hit her Bloomberg limit break live on stream.
Oh fuck! This is hey Rob, we've reached my free article limit live on stream.
Hold on. It's still showing the article.
No, I know.
Oh, so this is it.
Right, but this is it. Okay. This is the limit. We found the limit. Great. And I'm not going to break the limit, I'll be honest. I mean, I can put 99 cents in.
It's funny because I hit my free limit, so then I need to hit this weird extension I have so I can read the rest of the article. Oh, it doesn't work. It doesn't work on Bloomberg. All right. So I'll just have to look at this through Ren's stream. I mean, the long and short of it is Sony's like CEO who sent out an email, like the TLDR was like, look, I realize everyone is pretty anxious about what's happening with this, leaked stuff from the Supreme Court. But we just need to have empathy for people on both sides and differences of opinion. And that's the way forward as a company, combined with, as highlighted by Ren here, is that also including 5 detailed paragraphs about his 2 cats' first birthday, which I should point out I have since heard from the source, like this happens all the time. Not that it is always paired with like a monumentally like ignorant and like weird message about the rights of his employees, but that he sends out a lot of very strange emails about his animals, specifically his 2 cats.
There is nothing weird executives like to do more than send you an email about their weekend.
I'm humanizing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I am. Look at it. I'm humanizing myself by subjecting you to my fucking newsletter. God, it's so bad. It's so bad. basically every company I've worked at has had at least one higher up executive who does this. It is the funniest shit on earth to me. It is so fucking funny.
So that did not go over well with Sony employees. Especially when, you know, the counter to that is the most recent acquisition by Sony, Bungie, was one of the few studios in video games to, like, not just issue, lots of companies issue statements, and then there are, you know, Bungie was going at it harder by, like, you know, adding back people who were giving them pushback on Twitter. You know, that's not the same as, like, lining up, like, internal HR benefits for people who may work remote and, like, would need financial assistance to, like, cross states. I don't know exactly where that's landed at Bungie, but, like, you know, contrast that to you know, the summer of, like, the height of Black Lives Matter, where, boy, every company was just lining up to issue statements about racial justice, and then this Roe v. Wade stuff comes about, and it's like, well, this is a little sticky, guys. I don't know if we can say much about this. And you've seen very little from the rest of the video game industry to respond with the sort of the same level of intensity. And then you get this. So this is the second article. This comes from. So the first one was Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg. This is
Yeah, I have it open already. Beat you.
Yeah, over Washington Post.
Still
the
different.
Headline being after Roe v. Wade, cat email gaffe, which is, you know what? That's a headline. Sony and Insomniac plan donations, which is that Insomniac is going to donate $50,000 to the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project, and I think Sony's going to match the donation along with donations from individual Insomniac employees if they make them via the company's PlayStation Cares program. The thing is, and what this headline sort of zooms past, and I think the most interesting stuff in here is that Sony and Insomniac are not going to tweet about what's happening. It's just sort of privately happening as a way of trying to do, you know, most cynically, I think, viewed correctly, is like damage control for, like, the fallout, because you have a studio like Insomniac who has in the past been fairly outspoken. They put together, let me see if I can find the video. They put together a video about Insomniac.
The other thing to note while Patrick looks for this video is that the PlayStation Cares program is just an internal company program, and so also if you do a donation to anti-abortion organizations, Sony will also match your donations there.
That's of course.
I mean, so people are saying in chat, like, shocked, like, they both sides the donation. Yes. Like, yeah.
I mean, I think like, this is not in defensive, but it's
to not match opens you up to litigation. Yes.
Well, not only that, and it's also just like, rather than having to, like, here's the list of approved corporate charities that you can donate to. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, I'm not saying it's immune from criticism, but I can also see, like, if to get it matched requires you to get HR or whoever to sign off on the charity that you like. That's not great either. So anyway, we don't have to watch this video, but, like, this is like a studio-wide video of Insomniac. This is, like, 2017, like, during, like, those really early scary months. There were a lot of scary months during the Trump administration, but as, like, a lot of that stuff was first rolling out, that's like, hey, look at our studio. Like, this is important to us. I'm not suggesting that Insomniac is, like, a perfectly run studio by any means. I have no idea. I've not done the reporting to back that up. But they're clearly, like, kind of like Bungie in a position like, look, we're going to stand by our employees and their values, and we're going to externalize that so it's understood by our audience. And so this Washington Post article continues on to say that that Insomniac wanted to do more and say more, and Sony basically told them no. So there's a quote from Ted Price, their CEO, who is in that video embed at the front there. He's been in Insomniac for forever. Quote, there would be material repercussions for us as a wholly owned subsidiary, Price wrote in response to a question about what would happen if Insomniac tweeted about the donation. Among other things, any progress we might make in helping change at Sony Interactive Entertainment would be stopped dead in its tracks. We'd also probably be severely restricted from doing important public-facing work in the future. Someone else asked about the Bungie stuff. Price writes oh, maybe that's not here. Maybe that's something I heard separately. So I won't say that publicly. But basically, the takeaway there is that without getting into exactly what I heard, is that Well, Bungie's not, the acquisition hasn't finished yet. And that's like an important distinction on like who can do what and why would they be able to do it. And Price finishes here saying, as far as our freedom of speech goes, well, we do have a lot of autonomy and that often gets taken for granted. There are times where we need to acknowledge we're part of a larger organization. For the most part, our ability to tweet has been unfettered. However, there are rare times when we're in opposition, like this week, and Sony will have the final say, which is a pretty demoralizing quote.
It sucks on
How much of
ice.
this is? Sorry, I was just wondering, like, it also just feels to me, stepping back, like we have now entered the hedging against right-wing takeover of U.S. politics stage of like corporate response to social justice.
They've already built in the midterms into how they're responding, which is like, oh shit, like, do you see what happened at Disney in Florida? Like, do you want that for us? Well, then let's just not.
Which means, of course, like adopting, like, companies, you know, you brought out like the response to Black Lives Matter. And I think like a lot of that is being driven by genuine conviction by people within these studios. But also that was against a context of what appeared to be looming like liberal backlash against the Trump administration, that like the Republicans were going to be waning in power. The opposite is true now. But the flip side is like that means the accommodationist strategy does increasingly mean accommodating and muting criticism of a party's whose ideology increasingly like matches and encourages the ideology of the person who massacred people in Buffalo this weekend. Like, these juxtapositions are going to be uglier and more cynical, more patently cynical over the coming months and years, because the both sidesism is going to be more and more horrific when you look at what one of those sides is saying to like its mainstream supporters. And taking the strategy is just going to be grotesque.
Yeah.
I agree. Also, Jim Ryan, whether talking about abortion rights or like old video games, dude, just like shut the fuck up. He's very bad. He's very bad at the public speaking part. Just seems like he puts his foot in his mouth every single time he does. And maybe should just, sometimes the best policy is just to shut the fuck up Friday and just apply it to every day of the week. I think Jim Ryan should subscribe to that theory.
Fucking idiots.
I really do wonder, when did it become like advice to C-suite types to like do this kind of clunky self-humanization of like, obviously things are bad, we have concerns, also let me show you pictures of my dog, pay no attention to the vacation home, be in the background of said dog.
It's, I mean, like, I think it happens because, one, that is how a certain like tier of class thinks how human interaction works, right? Like that is how these motherfuckers think human interaction to a degree works, is you just inflict yourself upon other people, and that is a fucking gift. One, and two, like, I think that it may be a holdover from the like personality driven CEOs of like the previous like 4 decades or 3 decades. Like, I'm thinking about a certain like era of Bill Gates, a certain like the tech CEO era. Everyone wants to be the next like famous tech CEO, right? Even if they're not in the tech industry, they want to be the next like Musk or like Bill Gates, regardless if Elon Musk is competent. He's not. Steve Jobs, like Bill Gates, everyone wants to be the next one of those who becomes like a public figure and exists as a personality, but also all of them are fucking cardboard people.
That's true. And this is an impulse. So, sorry, this is a non sequitur. I brought this up before.
That's why everyone wants to be fucking Tony Stark, as you were saying.
Well, but the vanity actually extends beyond. I guess it's to a degree just like the fact that lots of people, you give them access to any kind of platform, they're like, I could be entertaining. I was always obsessed with Patrick. Did you get the Albert's Jewelers commercials in your neck of the woods in Chicagoland?
I mean, like Jewel was
See you
the
at
grocery
Albert's.
store. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ads were always
Who is this?
too
Can I
long. They were
Google
like
this?
90-second video spots of like the guy who ran Albert's Jewelers and his son, and it was like the term did not exist yet, but they were vlogs, and this was a regional jewelry store stain. But the real choice, the little chef kiss, piece de resistance of their ad campaign, they broadcast on cable TV their office Christmas party every year.
What?
Yes. They blocked out like 90 minutes of like cable access airtime and broadcast their office Christmas party.
Did they have like a microphone stood up like so that you could chat with or
No,
talk
it was
to
like
the
a
audience?
guerrilla shoot. It was
No.
like the camera is just sweeping through the Christmas party, like while the owner chats people up.
I'm trying to see if I
Sir
can
Driston,
find this.
the OG Twitch stream. Not
Well,
wrong.
I mean, this is part of why, like companies or people are being forced to like some people are going back. It's the same thing. The same reason that CEOs send out these stupid emails, regardless of where you work, whether it be like because like this happened when I worked at Starbucks too, like a year ago when I was working at Starbucks. We got this like same fucking shit. It's so annoying, and it's the same reason that like people are going back into the office is because they want like these motherfuckers need to feel like important and like they have little guys who they like run around with and they have little people who work in their offices and that they do things. And so if they have that sense of personalization in those little domains, their little fucking feudal holdings, then like they are happy and satisfied and think that everyone wants that because again, they are broken and don't understand how human interaction works.
But yeah, the fact like it's so now that I think of it, it does so clearly extend beyond wanting to be like Bill Gates at the very like the Fortune 500 level. It extends down to the guy running a regional car dealership being
Yes.
like, man, people don't know how cool I am.
Yeah. Everyone, yeah. The other thing is that The Office ruined American like office politics and like American work life for the preceding 20 fucking years. Everyone wants to be the next Michael Scott, which like, don't do that. The only people who are fun to work with, the only people who will ever be fun to work with are people who are as fucking tired of your job as you are. Those are the only people who will ever be fun to work with. Like,
Wait, so you're already tired of your job?
no, I didn't say. I said as tired as you are. Like that is the thing. You need to have
as
someone.
tired as Rob and I are?
We're all in the same fucking zone. Like there's a sliding scale. Okay, there's a sliding scale. There's a
Pretty big sliding scale.
It's a pretty big sliding. All right, well, fuck me, I guess. I'm just saying. The bitch who loves working at Starbucks is not fun to be on shift with. Is what I'm trying to say.
I'm not saying that can't. I'm just saying that
Jesus
applying
Christ.
is universally true. Not sure. But I agree with you, especially at those kinds of jobs, right? I think specifically that like what you're speaking to, I agree with. Like I felt that, when I worked as a grocery worker working at the AMC, like yeah, it's all a slog, and so there is solidarity there amongst your workers. There, I'm with you.
Cracked Wall Productions is saying,
Sweeping generalization. Window shatters.
someone in the chat says, I wish that were true, but all of my coworkers are so happy to share memes with each other and be office weirdos. Yes, because they're aligned. They're all on the same fucking tier.
So it makes more sense if you understand that everyone, like the spectrum of tiredness can extend to not tired at all, in which case you're all good, right? Like that, like I am not tired. These people are also not tired. It's like cool, we're on the same page. When there is that like energy mismatch, it can get a little bit like that, like chipperness. Like, I guess that's the thing. Happiness, if you do not share the source of it, becomes annoying chipperness.
Yeah.
I think is one aspect of this. where it's like I'm not even unhappy at work. I'm just here to have a normal one. And someone's like, "Man, another great day here at the family-owned liquor store." And I'm like, "I hope you get shot in the holdup." Sorry, I mean, I worked in a liquor store. I had those
Rob,
thoughts. We all
Rob,
know who we
get
hoped wouldn't make it out of the holdup.
Rob, Jesus Christ.
Okay, we've had 2 back-to-back extremely weird and
Look, it's
disconcerting
90
comments.
degrees.
Wait, what was my weird and disconcerting comment? The idea that I'm as tired as you, is that as weird and disconcerting as Rob saying he wished his coworker would get fucking brapped?
No, I thought you had a shovel and you dug a little deep, and then Rob was just like, "I've got a jackhammer and I need to go 20 foot below."
See, that's how I help.
I know I am not
It's
as
like-
I swear to God.
This is me. See, it's all the arrows and like shots being fired at Ren, and I'm the brave soldier, being like, I had coworkers I wished got shot in the holdup.
Listen, it's true. You do have coworkers who you want to get fucking owned. It's true. God.
Look, one of those coworkers erroneously accused multiple people of stealing. Like
as a bit?
No, dude.
No.
Like saw you
get them
taking
fired.
something off a shelf and setting it aside so you could like buy it at like close of till. It would be like, saw them shoplifting. Now, to be clear, shoplifting was rampant at that place.
What? It should
But she
be.
was always on the wrong track.
One, always on the wrong, because those people always are on the wrong fucking track. Like, the second anyone's mad about shoplifting, you are not mad at the right people for shoplifting. 1, 2, steal from your job. Like, as long as, like, if, like, don't get fired, like, okay, don't steal from your job to a getting fired for it degree, but, like...
Hold on, if you steal from your job, and you're getting fired for it, that might also mean you got caught. I don't recommend that either. I'm like, hey, if I were committing a crime, I would simply commit the perfect one, and never pay for it.
Don't steal money from your job.
Furiously checking Vice's union.
Don't steal money from your job. That is how you get caught. Do not steal money from your job. Take extra drinks on your... If you work in a fucking food service, take extra drinks on your shift.
Anyway, Patrick, we got live questions coming in, right?
Oh, okay, I'm gonna send... tell me if this link works for the 3 of you. If you can pull up the responses, are you able to see those now? There's like summary... Or at the top,
yes.
Questions, responses. Okay. They don't all show it. Let's see. Yeah. You might have to like, what is it? Cap? What does this other thing mean? I don't know. Anyway, I think we can all pick one. I think the idea is, because I don't want to just show the raw questions in case someone was being a weirdo. This was an open response. I mean, they're probably fine, but I don't want to expose it raw. But I think we'll copy and paste the text, and then like Ren can show it she can just like paste it into a Google Doc so people can see the question. Rob, do you want to pick? Do you want to start us off? Do you want to? We'll like just go. We'll go round robin. We'll all just pick one from here. So do you want to find one here that you like?
Let's see.
If you still want to submit one, if you go
hold
to
on.
my Twitter account, you will see I tweeted out a form, and you can keep sending those in. I think we have like links banned. I don't know if can I paste a link? Nope, I don't want to paste that link.
I do. Shout out to the person who asked, one for Rob, what's your favorite Stars of the Lid album, and why is it Avec Laudanum? I'm still really partial to the tired sounds of Stars of the Lid, but it's all good. A couple months ago, I was at a wedding where the best man read the room's Steam playtime during his speech, including the thousands of hours he'd spent in Stellaris, a game he doesn't like. What's the most time you've spent on a game you don't like, and why? That's the most Stellaris fan thing to do, by the way. So yeah.
I
Game
think
you don't like.
it was for... I mean, I've done review.
Yeah, those. I feel like this has to be
Yeah.
Like a choice you've made.
Hold on.
No, a choice
I actually,
you've
if
made.
it's 2, I think we can do that. Because what's like the most miserable fucking review experience you've ever had? And I can answer that straight off the bat.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Go.
An unfinished 4X called Legends of Pegasus. It was uncompletable. Like, you could not make it out of the tutorial area because of like some things that were fucked up in the scripting. And I spent 5 days like a mime in an invisible box trying to figure out where the seam was to like sort of worm my way through into the main game. Couldn't be done. So like that was a 30 hours some on a game that like literally had 7 hours of broken play in it, to rule out like any possibility that it would work. And then I had to file. I think my review might want to be only one of the records of that game that like exists,
Oh my
because it was
God.
delisted, and the PRs who handled it, when they saw me like a few months later, apologized profusely and were like, they were like, we swear to God, we saw a build of it working like a couple weeks before it went out. And then they pushed changes in the last update, and we do not know what happened or why that review build was broken.
I
But-
want to be clear. Yes, I know my Steam is up on stream. I'm looking for games, as you're saying.
Yeah, but anyway, so that is my most miserable review experience for sure.
I mean, 'cause I was looking through like my Steam list to see if I could find, and nothing comes out because like too many of these games are in an era where I was just picking what I wanted to play large. It's like anything that hits above like a 10-hour count. It's like, well, I chose to do that at a certain point, but I did for the longest time. Similar to you, Rob. Like I this question gravitates me towards not like a single game that I played for a ridiculous number of hours, but the way I made money in college was that I got into, I like knew enough. I was doing some like features, like there's some early features I did. You can find in like Computer Gaming World. That's where I did most of my like journalism writing in college. But a lot of the work I did was reviewing games, but not good ones. And specifically, I didn't want to review the good ones. You had to like fight with other freelancers, on staff people to review a game like that. I just wanted quick, easy cash. And the way I got that was like, I'll just review the licensed games. And because no one wanted to do them, they almost always were bad. The reviews weren't read by anyone. It was pure. This existed in an era of like GameSpy, GameSpot, IGN believing the way to success is to review everything.
Right.
And then you review everything, and that's traffic. And so, like, hey, Patrick, would you like to review like this Harry Potter game? And like, okay, I only had to play it once, but because the articles were so I would review, let's say, the PS2 version, but the article, if the games were the same across Xbox and GameCube, let's say, and sometimes PC, they would just republish the review, change the like text to be like from PlayStation 2 to Xbox, or I'd write it platform agnostic. And like, let's say I made 150 on the review. Well, they would tack on $50 more for each of the platforms for no additional work on my part. And so I would just play some of the worst stuff. And if I'm confessing things here, 1 or 2 times I didn't even play the game. Just wrote a review.
I mean,
I turned
Oh
it
my
in.
sometimes. No, I can't. No, I was gonna try and Patrick. I was gonna try and join you. I was gonna try and stand with you in this moment. I cannot.
I thought
cannot.
on this podcast, we
Patrick.
steal from our employers, and isn't the purest
No.
form of that?
No, I didn't say it was-
agreeing to-
No, I
Not
didn't
the public trust.
Yeah, I didn't say it was. I didn't say. Whoa, 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 whoa. Patrick. That's stealing from your own journalistic integrity. You didn't steal from your employee. You stole from you.
Did I? When nobody read that, what was the PS2i? That was the webcam. I reviewed a lot of those games.
If
Fairly certain.
a PS2i game is reviewed in the forest and no one reads it, doesn't make sense.
I've shattered Rob's conception of me.
It
He's
doesn't-
always looked at me as like a being of like virtue, and just he does what he says. And turns out maybe he once or twice he
God.
turned in a review to GameSpy and sort of just read the back of the box and you wrote 500 words about
Honestly, actually, I will. This is more of an indictment of the state of reviewing at the time than it is of Patrick. I've decided that Patrick, this is fine. Yeah, everyone, Patrick's a man of his time. We have to judge him by the morals of his generation. First and foremost.
Yeah, and this new generation, if they were reviewing PS2i games, would never. They would give it. They would give it. They would give it the due it deserves. I'm so. I think the time that this did occur, the reason it triggers a memory is because I don't actually think I didn't play it or we didn't try. The disc was scratched and my deadline. I didn't realize.
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, no.
And so my deadline hits.
What can he do? The disc is scratched.
Apologize to Phil Theobald. You were my editor at GameSpot. You used to work at Nintendo. You were a teacher for a while. Phil, I'm pretty sure I turned this review into you. I love you. Did a lot of early work for me when I was getting started, handing me stuff like this. And look, couldn't it just be a testament to my writing, even at an earlier age, that like just slides on through? It's like, wow, like
that's so true.
This seems great. Like, thanks, Patrick. Like, put it into the system. And so I think the disc was scratched. I like kind of freaked out and was like, I think I can just bullshit this. Because I just couldn't get it to run on my machine. And so I just turned it in and was like, let's hope for the best. PS2. I'll try and look it up. I'm unlocking parts of my memory to see if I can find this review. I will make a valiant attempt to do so.
Now, here's the problem that I'm having right now. It's that I don't play bad video games. That's kind of my secret. Is that I don't play video games that I don't like for extended periods of time. And my reviewing career is recent enough where I play video games that are like B tier but not like bad. Like if I just picked my worst reviewing experience, it would probably be maybe Disintegration, but also I didn't play that much of Disintegration. Like that's the thing. Like I just like the reality is that like I also think that reviews have changed to a significant degree where like I did not have to beat video games to review them. I like Valorant. I like the video game Valorant.
We believe you.
And I like League of Legends. Okay, well, what about Overwatch? Okay, yeah, fine. You know what? I did play a significant amount of Overwatch 2, a game I do not particularly like. God.
The game the review I thought it was, I don't think it is. So I think I'm misremembering which game it was. I thought it was.
I have a positive article about League
this review lives. iToy Operation Spy, but I don't think this is it. I thought this was it, but I don't think it is because this looks too specific. unless I got enough from the screenshots.
Oh my god,
I don't know. It's possible. Patrick Klepek, November 11th, 2005. Anyway,
well,
GameSpy review 2 stars, poor.
Sorry, game. You should have had a better box. Your pack shots should have slapped harder.
All right. Ren, do you want to pull a question?
I can't open the bucket because my browser is on stream.
Okay. All right. Well, I will find one. Okay, let's see.
Last what my most played game were on Steam. How do I find my most played games on Steam?
You go.
Have we not done that bit with you?
No, I guess not. So you go in Steam, go to the top, view my profile.
Yeah, it's my profile. Okay.
And then you go to all. So then you've got a little lower below, like all recently played wish list reviews. So click all recently played, and then click all games, and then you'll get your rankings.
Some of these are going to be thrown off by leaving the game open. Warframe is thrown off by leaving the game open by accident.
I got several of those. Yeah, the dig, the
Same with
Steven
Saints
Spielberg,
Row.
LucasArts, 53 hours on record. I think not.
Same with Saints Row. No, Warframe's great. Let me be clear. I got to listen. I will to let people know where I got in Warframe. I got to the thing in Warframe. I got to the big twist. In Warframe. I have seen the part of the game that people always flip the fuck out about. People are surprised about Guilty Gear. That's interesting to me. I guess I don't talk about fighting games super often, but I did get really into Guilty Gear a few years ago. Not a few years ago, like this year. Turns out that's a really great introductory fighting game, and I played a bunch of it. Starbound, this is a fake number. Half-Life 2, that's a fake number. So my top played games are Guilty Gear Strive, Nuclear Throne, XCOM 2, Payday 2, Elden Ring, BattleTech, The Witcher 3. I don't like really play video games that long. That is my truth. Like,
okay. Oh,
I don't pour several hundred hours into things, is what I was gonna say.
Yeah, the only ones I have on here that on mine that are like that is like 125 hours into to PUBG was because of all the streaming we did. Not a chance in the world I did any of that. Would have done any of that on my own. Okay, here's a question. This is a simple one. Which cleaning task are each of you best at?
I'm a former housekeeper. I love wiping surfaces and like magic erasering walls. If you give me a bucket, I've been so excited to get a bucket for my apartment. I keep forgetting to do it because I am lightly agoraphobic. And so I've been putting off going to the hardware store to get a bucket and a rag and some Pine Sol. Because I'm going to wipe every fucking inch of my apartment. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get one of those little magic erasers. Oh, incredible. That shit whips so much. I also did either of you used to be housekeepers? Do either of you have a housekeeper era?
I did a campus job where I was part of like the painting crew. So there was a lot of like cleaning down walls and like doing housekeeping stuff in the gaps between semesters.
Yeah, I also was, so I was housekeeping at a university as well. Boy, if you wanna see some gross shit, become a housekeeper at a university. If you wanna see some heinous fucking shit, I would just like see. There was one apartment we went into that my coworkers had me clean where every single wall in the apartment was covered in beer. Like every single wall, and I had to wipe down over the course of like an entire day every single square inch of that apartment. And that is where I developed my deep love of cleaning and wiping down walls.
I'm not the one that I feel the most confident in, but Ren, I can't remember if we had this conversation on the podcast or not. I think it was pre-pod, but I don't know how much gets into this. So correct, like I will not fully repeat this if it's been in the podcast before. But you and I had a real moment of bonding upon the realization that cleaning dishes and putting them away, a delight. Putting them into the dishwasher and like doing that process, awesome. Putting them away, a nightmare that you avoid at all costs and hope that someone else does it for you.
Yes, I love washing a dish so much.
I really like washing dishes. I have had like actual like I enjoy so much. Like my wife's a great cook, and like I actually get excited. It's like not only from here's something I can do to contribute, but just like I love popping in some headphones, listening to a podcast or some music, and like I've got 40 minutes to like deal with these dishes, get the whole like kind of kitchen cleared up. It's like a very satisfying thing for me to do. But then I spent so many years in San Francisco, LA, Chicago, where I never had a dishwasher. And so I hand washed everything. And then the first time I had an encounter with a dishwasher was really when I bought a house. I think maybe our last place in Chicago, which was like a decent condo that we were subletting and subleasing, had one. But Like, I remember this came up when like Rob and I were at E3 a couple of years. That last place that I think we had, where I was like putting the dishes away because that was I was like even doing that around like my colleagues. And he's like, you don't have to scrape all that. Like, you can just put that in. Like, dishwashers are good at that these days, and it's like better for the environment. I was like, but I like doing that in like this. I want to wash it off. And so I've had to like wean myself off that in my home where I'm paying for the water, trying to be more environmentally conscious. Is like, I like cleaning everything off the plate. And then, yeah, still maybe putting it into the dishwasher, but like having to like make peace with, hey, that should just be like, let it be a dirtier dish. But like, it's taking away the thing that I enjoy doing, or at least I spend less time doing it as a result.
I don't trust the dishwasher as far as I can throw them. That's the thing, is that I love a good hand wash because I don't trust dishwashers. Fucking trust them.
Did you have like a bad experience?
I have had a dish. I have had family. My family had a dishwasher in one of our houses, um, like one of the houses that I lived in growing up as a kid. I think it was at my dad's house. Was fucking awful, and it left dishes disgusting. It left them fucking disgusting, and I would have to like take them out, and I would have to wash them by hand before I use anything. Everything fucking smelled. Everything had like residue on it. It was awful. It was awful. I hate dishwashers. Don't fucking trust them.
They're pretty good these days.
Yeah, I mean, I've got an older one that it does the thing where it's like, hey, you know that residue you could have just wiped off in like a split second with a sponge? Well, I've baked it onto the dish now, and it will take a 2-hour soak and then several tons of pressure to remove it. So like I don't trust dishwashers on that axis as much, but like that was my chore growing up, and like it is still something that I have a pretty decent instinct for, like what's gonna actually get clean and what's not. But like my parents have a newer dishwasher, and it is like when I visit them, they're like, don't wipe that down, just put it in, it'll be fine. And I'm like, how is that possible? Like, no dishwasher could get this bowl that had Raisin Bran in it clean. No, the dishwasher has not been invented that can handle the bran flake. And it turns out that is now a solved problem. And you can trust that dishwasher. I just can't. Let's see. Back to the bucket.
Yeah.
Return we go.
All right.
Snow Bear 65. My mother has had a dishwasher in her home for nearly 20 years. Has never used it to wash dishes. It's a pan and pot storage. That's incredible. That rules. Wait, hold on. Crowbird writes, dishwashers are pretty good at cleaning keyboards. When I was younger, I had a stint working in the technology department of the high school I was attending. At the end of the semester, we'd unplug all the keyboards from the various computer labs and just toss them right in the commercial dishwashers. That feels wrong.
That's a lot.
Again, people are saying old keyboards didn't have logic boards and shit on them. Do not do that now.
No, yeah. No, I think I think that is. It's but still, I putting it into the dishwasher is that's...
Generally how I wash my keycaps. This is a side note: is I just get a little bowl and I fill it up with like soapy water and I let them soak for a little bit. I take them out and I hand wipe down all my little keycaps.
What is the best time of day? So my answer would be between 4:45 in the morning and 6:30 a.m.
Is that when like you can do things? Like that's when your brain or everything's silent?
Everything is silent. You see like the beautiful like pre-dawn light slowly come up. And if you live in a place with nice bakeries, usually you can run out and get stuff fresh out of the oven at like when they open at like 6.
Talking about
And
secret bread?
that's what we live for.
Rob, you talking about the secret bread?
Secret bread?
You're eating secret bread?
First
Got
bake?
secret bread. God damn.
So I don't know if I have the answer that comes to mind, because we're now entering that season, is my favorite time of day is Fridays between 4 and 7 in the summer, but the early summer, like when you're emerging out of the spring and like our neighborhood starts becoming alive and like people are just kind of wandering around. And like at Friday around like 4 is when people will just start like milling about and having beers and just like chatting with people. And all the kids are out and you kind of just like wander around talking to people, having drinks in people's garages. Like that is just starting to like happen now, probably before it gets too humid and then people want to go back inside again or not have, their doors open as much and you get less of the milling about and you end up hanging out with just the people that you specifically hang out with. But that has started happening in the last week as the temperature has like ramped up out here. Like, and it fucking rules. Like, it's so cool to just like go outside my door, grab a beer, like my 2 kids follow behind me, and then we just like wander around talking to people before like we have to go back for dinner time. Like, that is like my like ideal time. It's just so much fun.
That's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
That's adorable for you. God, what is my favorite time of this is a really hard question. Because like I know my least favorite times of day. Those I can identify. My least favorite time of day, or my 2 least favorite times a day are the period of my day before I have gotten the energy to, because I don't go outside without like a full outfit. I don't have lounge clothes. I'm not a lounge clothes person. I don't walk outside in lounge clothes. I exclusively have to be wearing like capital C clothes and an outfit. It is the hour and a half before I'm like awake enough to take a shower, put on a good outfit, and then do my eyeliner. And then I get to go out and buy the food I need to live. And that hour and a half before, where it's just like executive dysfunction city, awful, terrible, disgusting, repulsive. Unless I'm like actually like hyper fixated on writing and I just like write out 1,500 words in 2 hours the second I wake up, which happens to me very frequently. Or 4 p.m. because that is when I have sleep attacks. I have my sleep attacks very consistently at 4 or 5 p.m., which is like Rob and Patrick have seen every single day that they were in New York. I had a sleep attack around the same time. And was just immediately like, well, Ren's fucked for the next 15 minutes. And would just have to like disappear for a minute. I think my favorite time of day has to be between 7 and 10 p.m. Because 7 and 10 p.m. is one where I have like the most energy to do things, whether it be like playing a video game with my friends or like going to a coffee shop / bar and like having a beer and reading a book. Those are like, that is the ideal time of day for me. I also do like, I like being out at night, but I do not like walking home at night. And that is the trade-off that I have. Because I also have a very strict sleep schedule. And so I don't get to be out as much at night as I like to. Because I used to be a very nocturnal person. When my narcolepsy was unmedicated and I was not doing super great, I would stay up until like 3 a.m. because I didn't want to sleep, but I also really liked the solitude of like the being able to just like vibe in those hours, but I never get to have them anymore. Seven to 10 p.m.
Good answer. Let's see. What? Well, I can't answer this one with kata. This is a good question, though. Maybe I'll save this for. If Dark Souls is a burger and Elden Ring is a pizza, what is King's Field?
I feel on some level it's a roast beef sandwich. just from what I've observed.
I think Super String 888 saying a calzone. That's in the roast beef sandwich zone. Calzone is a little bit of everything. Just a potato.
Italian beef, yes.
Condado, Kingsfield is a calzone. It sounds way better than it is. Well, is that game far more fun to play on stream because it keeps pushing you forward? Would I play that game on my own? Probably not. We'll get back to that game. I promise.
All right, you got a
Um,
real question, Patrick, that
yeah.
we can't just hold off for Kato.
It is.
Well, that was the question.
What?
Oh, I was saying, do you want to pick another?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I misinterpreted. Okay. Power tools or hand tools?
Hand tools.
Shake.
Hand
I want
tools.
for the podcast audience who's listening to this, upon Ren's immediate answer to that of power tools, Rob, not even like a big
No,
shake.
Ren was hand tools.
Hand tools. And then Rob had a very deliberate small shake.
I just think there's a lot of power tools that make jobs way easier to do at a level of quality, without like having spent a lot of time mastering technique, as well as will let you get a hell of a lot more work done if you have a power tool.
So that's the thing. What do I enjoy using more? Hand tools. What is faster? Power tools. Like what is more efficient and like better?
Like immediately my head goes to drill, right? Like just doing a hand drill as opposed to a power drill is just that is absurd to me, even as a matter of style and aesthetic. But that might be the only one where I have quite such a strong feeling.
Yeah, I think a hand drill it sucks. But like generally, I really like mechanical actions and doing mechanical actions like with my hands, and so like screwing something in by hand is very soothing for me. And I will actively, if I have to build 5 pieces of furniture in one night, right? I will use power tools. If I only have to build 1 piece of furniture and I want to put a podcast on, I will use hand tools and savor the experience because I think that they are extremely satisfying to use. And also, like, it feels good to, like, sometimes you have to apply a great amount of force to an object, and I love the feeling of applying a great amount of force to an object, you know?
That's true. I can get with you there. I will also say this, though. You can have a whole, like, constellation of saws, but if you got a bandsaw, like, set up, you don't need most of those fuckers.
I fucking hate have I told my bandsaw story?
Bandsaws, table saws, zaw saws, all my friends.
Have I told my bandsaw story on this podcast? Because I think I've told my bandsaw story to one of you individually, but I've never told my bandsaw story, I think, on recording. So when I was in high school, I was the president of a robotics team, and we had a workshop in our first year that was not actually fitted for a robotics team.
I know you're thinking grizzly bandsaw story incoming. It is not.
It is not a grizzly band. No one gets hurt in this bandsaw story. Well, okay.
Because that is
I get hurt in this
most bands. I got a crazy bandsaw story. What you're about to hear, you do not want to hear. This is not one of those stories.
Yeah, this bandsaw story ends with me being hurt but not cut by a blade, which honestly makes it a stranger bandsaw story. So we had a woodshop room with a wood blade for a bandsaw. It is worth noting that aluminum can be cut by wood blades because the hardest wood is around the same hardness as aluminum. And so you can use a wood blade to cut aluminum. You shouldn't. What you really shouldn't do is use a really old bandsaw with a ton of broken teeth to cut aluminum. So I was in the shop and I was cutting a piece of aluminum that was like an inch by like 1 inch by 1 inch, like hollow tube, right? I'm pushing it through. It's taking a while. I, of course, have safety glasses on. I'm not an idiot. And as I was going, I was like, this is taking forever to cut. Wow, weird. This is taking a really long time. And I was like, also, this piece of aluminum's getting pretty warm. Huh, weird. Why is this piece of aluminum getting so warm? And as I get like a quarter of like to 3/4 of the way through, I'm like, oh man, my fingers hurt really badly. I think I am burning my fingertips. And then eventually it goes all the way through and I cut it and I turn off the machine. And my engineering teacher walks over and picks up the piece of aluminum and goes, oh my fucking God, and throws it across the room into a sink and reveals that I wasn't really cutting the aluminum so much as the friction of the blade on the aluminum, the nearly dull blade on the aluminum, was so high that it had heated up the contact point and had started actually like so much that they had started melting the aluminum more than actually cutting it. So when I looked at the piece, I was like, why is this so shaped weird? And it was because the contact point had been like slightly melted. And after that, we got a new bandsaw blade.
I'm glad that's how that story ends.
I lost my fingerprints for like a little bit there.
There's in the multiverse, there's like every other version of that story is so much worse.
Listen, it was fine. It was fine. Patrick, hand tools or power tools?
I use both. I mean, like it's for me. I as the person who puts together like most of the furniture and things like that. Sometimes you don't have a choice, right? Like if you're getting cheaper furniture, you can't even use like if I'm doing sort of like IKEA stuff for my kids, you can't even use power tools on that. And so those are scenarios where I wish look. I'm looking at the 600 screws that have to go in to build this like. To put my kids' clothes away. I wish I could use power tools on this, but I will break the furniture if I do. I guess maybe you could probably cheat and just be very careful about it, but I end up just doing it by hand, like just to be safe and not wanting to purchase that furniture again. But I find like I think there's something very satisfying about like doing a power tool to like drill something into a wall. Like the way that kind of like punches through, like I don't know, like it feels very powerful. I don't know that it's like an either or an or. I think mostly it's I wish I could use the power tools more. Most of the circumstances in which I'm putting things together, I am forced to do it by hand, and wish I could use the power.
I'm curious. This might be a question only. I don't know, Patrick, how much experience you have here. Rob? Do you have a favorite shop tool?
I mean, I would have considered the bandsaw shop tool though.
Yeah, no. If the bandsaw is your favorite, it's your favorite. I would consider the bandsaw shop tool.
I think the bandsaw is the one that I'm like, this justifies having the shop, right? Like there's a lot of other things that, with a sawhorse and such, or a vise, like I could mimic, like I could get something similar. The bandsaw is the one where I'm like, okay, this is just in a different league than like, for instance, like table saw doesn't do what a bandsaw does.
Yeah.
So like I think for me it is the bandsaw.
My favorite by a significant margin is a mill. I love a mill so fucking much. I love a mill. It is my favorite thing. Including non-CNC mills. Like I'm talking about a hand milling machine, not a CNC mill. Like I like CNC mills. I think they're cool. However, I much prefer doing it by hand. I think it's extremely satisfying to do. My grandfather worked in a machine shop and like used a mill for a really long time, and so I have a special fondness for using like hand milling machines.
Should we take a break? This is a podcast.
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot.
It's an hour. We're good. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right? Like the fact that we're only 15 minutes over. We don't have a Kato here. He keeps
can't
track of the
stop
45
us.
minutes. So an hour is cool.
All right, yeah. So we will take a quick break.
I can go to card for a little bit. Play a song. I'm gonna play Ocean.
Are we actually taking a break?
Oh,
Yeah.
do you
I'm
not
good
want to? Oh, we can keep
No,
going.
No, this is
Okay.
just over the commercials.
Okay.
This is the cut to commercial. Yeah.
Damn, I was gonna play Ocean. I guess I'm not gonna
You
play
can-
Ocean anymore.
You can play Ocean at the end.
No?
Oh,
Oh, I can play. Yeah, you're right.
all right, Rob, your turn.
Okay, so you know what? This is a me question, so apologies for the narcissism. Can Rob name something he has done with his new induction range that was better to do because of the upgrade? I feel like plenty of words have been spent diminishing his work as a river to his people, but I would love to hear at least one positive story about the stove of tomorrow.
You also need to, as an adjoiner to that, if you can give us any noise update. So give me. I'm just going whatever order you choose, but I just want to combine those two.
I don't think there's a noise. On the other hand, is my dog sad when I use the induction range? I can't tell. But it could also be that she's turned against her chicken kibble. And so what is making her sad is that it is dry chicken kibble and not the fish kibble that she'd been really enjoying for a week there, as we were sort of trialing it for a full-time replacement. And we still had this bag of chicken kibble. And so, like, is it the range, or is it the fact that I'm running the range and I just put the food out and now she's furious that it's not the food she wanted? Very hard to say. I will say that, like, so there's a huge stock pot that if I filled it up all the way, no noise. If I filled it up to a more reasonable amount for, like, quicker boiling, there was definitely a weird little, like, thrum to it that was kind of odd. So I would say most things aren't making any sort of, like, appreciable noise, but there's at least one pot that does make kind of a weird hum or buzz. So as far as the induction range and the new oven, I think, like, so it was hot as hell in the apartment this week. And by the way, this is an ongoing issue with the apartment. And, like, one thing that informs a lot of the choices we make, like, basically with the old oven, we would stop baking between, like, May and October. It was just it would just heat up the house so much that it was just pointless to do, because it would just radiate so much heat. We would hardly cook during the height of summer because, again, just like it would generate heat that this apartment sheds very, very poorly. The induction range, like, it's hard to overstate how much it does not heat up your apartment. It is truly weird, how you can have, like, a really hot pan and, like, be searing food, and the area around the range is, like, cool. The cooktop is cool. You would not, like, none of the things that, like, you associate with, like, cooking happening are, like, happening, except for the fact that, like, the food is sizzling in the pan. It's really weird and very cool. And so it means that, like, this weekend where we had to sort of go to doing sous vide and using the oven and the range to try to avoid heating up the apartment too much, worked really, really well. And another unexpected feature, the oven has this thing called, like, infrared speed broil, which sounded like bullshit. It's like the broiler can put a rapid sear on food using its heating coils and some sort of, like, directed IR heat. I do not understand this, and I did not really believe in it. But the idea is it's going to give you, like, a sear on things as if they were put, like, in a ripping hot pan, right, to get that Maillard reaction. Right. It worked. Like, it worked better than a torch I've used to, like, apply, like, flame directly to food to create a sear. Worked better than that because it's generating more heat more evenly across the thing you're searing. And so that was a thing where, like, taking like, we had a thing, like, a tray of breakfast sausages, putting that under the broiler, running the broiler for about, like, 5 minutes, like seared up the sausages as if we'd like put them in a ripping hot cast iron. It wasn't quite as good a crust. I'm not going to say it replaces that, but like I was shocked how well it did that like searing job, because this was the thing. This was the feature that I was like, this is the most snake oil thing that LG is selling with this device. And then I was like, well, shit, that actually works. It works fast.
That rules.
I'm very happy for you in your personal growth.
Patrick, you got one?
I'm
working on it?
I'm working on it. Any good movies out?
I just saw this movie Heat. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. I saw it over the weekend. Turns out that one's really good. I liked it a lot. Made by some guy, Michael
Never
Mann.
seen Heat. Never seen Heat.
No, I'd never seen Heat.
Patrick is saying.
Oh,
Patrick
I'm
is
sorry.
confessing that
I'm
he's never
sorry.
seen
I'm
Heat.
sorry. I'm sorry. I thought someone was being incredulous to me.
When I was on an early episode of Manhunting for the horror adjacent, what was it? The Gate, right? That was the, or was it, what was it? The one I was on? Rob?
The Keep.
The Keep. And it was the. It made me realize as I went through the filmography that it had basically, like, seen like basically not nothing, but if I haven't seen Heat, then I I've seen Collateral, right? Like I like that's like probably the most recent Mann film I had seen, but I had not seen Heat, and I have wanted to use Manhunting not to be on the Heat podcast, but just as an excuse to finally watch that film, because I know they did like the Blu-ray transfer only a couple of years back, right? Does it even have a 4K release yet?
There is like every year I feel like a 4K transfer came out in England, I think early this year or like late last year. There's no 4K of Heat here, which is very distressing. Blu-ray's good, but yeah, no 4K that I know of. There was just recently a 4K Collateral, which I haven't checked out yet. But yeah, Ren, I'm curious.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the bank robbers' tactics as they attempted to make their escape after being ambushed?
I would say they did so bad. Their immediate, the bank robbers, okay. Fucking, the decision to be like, all right, let's open fire directly into this crowd of civilians immediately is astounding. It was an incredible L. The amount of unforced fucking errors that happened in the last like act of that movie is astounding to me. I mean, like, that is like the central conceit of Heat, right? Like, that is the fact that all of these people consistently make unforced errors in their life because they are completely incapable of like having meaningful connections or caring about other people in a way that like doesn't cause people to be in great pain. Like, that is the central thesis. Is like they will always make this mistake. Watching Neil in the last hour of Heat gets in the fucking car, Rob, when he's getting in the car and they're driving to the fucking plane, and you watch his face twitch when he realizes that he is going to kill Waingro.
Yep.
It is haunting.
By the way,
haunting.
De Niro and Pacino are operating in such different modes in that film. The film is renowned as like the first thing where they act opposite each other and like their counterparts. Not quite. Pacino is in like, there's kind of two modes of late career Pacino. It's like him playing it straight and like inhabiting a character. And then there's him playing this character as like Al Pacino.
Yeah.
And that I think is the mode that Pacino is in. Whereas like this is still a very like De Niro's in the character. And like he's not overplaying at all.
Young De Niro looks so much like old Pacino that I spent the entire movie being like, oh my god, why the fuck do I think that Robert De Niro is Al Pacino every time he's on screen? And it's because young Robert De Niro looks exactly fucking like Al Pacino in his later years. But Oh my god, that movie fucking owns. I
Yeah.
love watching a movie about some grimy boys doing crime. Like, give me a movie about some just grimy men doing crimes. The other thing about that movie that I find really fascinating. This has become a quick digression into Heat because I didn't get to be on the podcast. I find the class politics of that movie fucking fascinating.
Well, the podcast hasn't happened yet.
The Heat one hasn't happened yet?
No, they did the Heat Rough Draft movie. LA
You haven't missed it.
Okay, well, hey, maybe
Do you want to be on Manhunting?
maybe let me be on
Renata?
Manhunting for the Heat episode because I think that movie's class politics are really interesting, or at the very least provide a really fascinating insight into what home ownership looks like in the 1990s. And like what it means to like what the housing market looks like in the 1990s.
Okay, quick aside.
Yes.
Michael Mann has an aversion to
Does he have
people nobody ever looks like they live in a real place in a Michael Mann movie.
Got it. That is useful for me to know.
Like Michael Mann's vision of domestic bliss is if you do not live in a stilt house overlooking an ocean or mountain canyons, you have no business being in a motion picture.
Jesus Christ. I mean, they're very pretty houses.
They are. And to be fair, I guess you could say in the 1990s, you're like, it is reasonable to believe upper middle class people would have homes like this.
Yes.
Whereas now, those like you see, like if a cop lives in one of those houses in a modern movie, you're like, so when are we going to find out he's a bent cop?
Yeah, I spent that entire movie trying to figure out what the fuck was happening with its class politics. I was fascinated because also like essentially the interesting thing is that like the film does not associate criminality with poverty in ways that I would traditionally expect. It kind of does with Brandon, but otherwise it doesn't, and I find that extremely interesting to me.
I think it associates like the school prison parole prison pipeline with crime. Like it's very like it sees structure in that way.
That threat.
Yeah. So you know what? After this, I'm going to mail you my copy of Thief, so you can see some other politics of this.
Yeah,
because I think if you dug Heat, you should really see Thief. It's a great film, and I think is Mann trying to be a little more explicit about like, so what are the factors that lead people to choosing to become a career criminal?
Right.
As opposed to, besides it being fucking awesome, which is Mann can't help but be like, crime is bad and you have to associate with lots of terrible people, but also it's pretty cool.
It's so sick.
This is awesome, right? And to be fair, Val Kilmer mowing down the entire LAPD is really cool.
It was sick. Except for when fucking
him go.
8 people got owned. That is the not sick bit.
There's there's I mean that's the thing, right? There's so many dead bystanders in the backgrounds of these shots. Like once they get into the grocery store parking lot.
Oh my god.
And you're like, they're just like massacring people at their jobs now.
Like it's do not want to think about it.
Yeah, but when there's like a platoon of police officers trying to screen off Wilshire Boulevard and Val Kilmer's like, let me solo them. That's good.
Let me solo her. God. That's the last movie I saw.
The Heat podcast has not happened. So we can add you to the list. Good news, you missed the LA Takedown podcast.
I heard that's good news. After I was watching Heat with my friends, someone mentioned LA Takedown. Everyone's like, no! Actually, no, it was Kato told everyone about LA Takedown, and then they were like, well, thank God we didn't fucking watch that.
LA Takedown is very funny. For sure. Because it is the bizarro universe of Heat. Patrick, do you have another question for us all?
Actually, I do have a movie. I was looking at my letterbox where I try to keep tabs on that stuff, and so it's not. I watched this back in April. It's a movie that came out last year. Pretty much nobody saw it, but it's called 9 Days. Stars Winston Duke, who's M'Baku in Black Panther. He's also phenomenal in this. It's also got Benedict Wong, Tony Hale, Bill Skarsgård, like Zazie Beetz. Like, it's got a fucking stacked cast, and like nobody saw this film. The conceit of 9 Days is Winston Duke plays a character who like the mythology here, you kind of is a little wishy-washy. You kind of just got to go with like the premise is that he is an arbiter of souls. He is in sort of this way station in which a soul is created, but a soul does not get necessarily transferred to a body to live a life. And there are arbiters who meet these souls in this sort of like initial state and judge them on whether they are worthy of going to Earth and experiencing life. And the pitch is that as a soul, you do like experience life and emotions, but it's like some extremely dulled state. Like when you actually go to Earth and experience life, it is like transformative and like on such a different level that as a soul, you can't understand what it is like to actually like live and feel those things. And so the movie is about Winston Duke interviewing and talking to like this like incredible slate of actors and trying to whittle down who he thinks should be able to inhabit a body on Earth. He basically like sits in, he's got all this paperwork to like document like how he like different people he sent to Earth in the past. The movie, without getting into spoilers, is like a lot of the emotional hook of the movie is how he feels about those he's given a chance at life and how their lives play out. If you think this premise is interesting, I don't even want to actually introduce the emotional premise of the movie because I think it's worth discovering on your own. But he's like struggling with a choice he's made in the past and how that influences the choices he would make in the future. And it's a beautiful film of about like life, afterlife, and they think too much about like the concepts they set up. Like they don't hold under scrutiny, but that's like not the point of the film.
Right.
And the final 5 minutes of this movie, Winston Duke gives like one of the most amazing like singular performances in a sequence I have seen in a decade. It's a really beautiful film that just like for some reason went completely under the radar, like not talked about, but it is really, really fucking good.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. I need to watch this.
Oh, so I forgot to I watched a few things. To beat the heat when I was in full lizard mode.
Mm-hmm.
Can't talk about this yet. I watched all of Severance in a weekend.
Oh my god, I've been told to watch Severance,
but I watched it. What I should have been more lukewarm on, but I'm not because I am trash. I watched the last season of The Last Kingdom, which, I had to figure out, is Uhtred, son of Uhtred, aka Uhtred Ragnarsson, is he going to reclaim his ancestral hold of Bebbanburg? And it was really nip and tuck there for a while.
Is Last Kingdom like am I seeing all these commercials when I watch the NBA playoffs, or am I seeing all these commercials for The Last Kingdom when I'm watching Better Call Saul through the AMC
you might be
app?
seeing commercials for Vikings as well, which is like there's another like Viking show, but Last Kingdom is it has.
Oh, I think I'm thinking of Animal Kingdom. Is that a different drama?
Very.
Okay, but that is in its last season, I think. I keep seeing. Anyway, keep going.
So, The Last Kingdom, it just had its 5th season go up on Netflix, and it's one of those things where I was like, I'll give this a shot. Who gives a shit? And it is consistently like, it shouldn't be good, and yet it's relentlessly competent. And they replay this hook year after year, and it works year after year. So basically, the pitch for the show is this, like Saxon, like the Saxon kid who is the heir to this, like holding in Northumbria, first season, the Viking invasion happens. The Vikings like kill his dad. His land is seized, and he is basically like taken in by this Viking leader Ragnar, and raised as his son, and becomes like, you know, he's sort of between two worlds. His Viking father is betrayed and killed, and so he becomes like an orphan in this world. And all he can do well are two things: fight and fuck. And both these things become relevant over the course of the series. But he ends up falling into the service of Alfred of Wessex, who's like holding the last like Saxon kingdom in the south of England. And the thing they established in the first season is the dynamic that's going to go forever, which is that Uhtred has this like broader quest he wants to go on. He wants to like avenge the wrongs that have been done him and his family, but he has fallen in with this like really icy, manipulative, bloodless bastard of a king who also happens to be like relentlessly competent. And it is their like toxic codependence that is the star of the show. Like the way these two guys like push each other's limits and fuck with each other. And the way it just devastates everything in Uhtred's life every season, like clockwork. It's like Uhtred has a moment, is like, hey, maybe things are about to get better. Nope, the people you've pledged your life to are going to ruin it for you again, and everything's going to go to shit. And you would think 5 seasons of that, it's going to get tired, right? Somehow they keep pulling it out, including after the co-star dies, because Alfred dies historically. They're like, what if we just decided his son was just like him, and we keep this dynamic going, except his son's a little bit shittier, and Uhtred's a little more confident. And you're like, that shouldn't work. It does. It does. And so by this 5th season, I'm just like, you know what? Play the hits. This is great. I love it. Give me 10 hours of this shit. Like all in a row. It's exactly what I need. I'm all in. And yeah, so that's how I spent my weekend.
Delightful.
Yeah, it sounds sick.
Hey, early seasons, pretty early seasons, I would say, are misogynist in the way they tell stories that are like just sort of deeply misogynist by default. Later seasons, there are more women entering the story with like a lot of agency and like becoming major characters and like partners in crime for the ongoing adventures. But those early seasons, it's a lot of like, oh no, Uhtred, somebody fucked with your girlfriend, and like that motivates a whole lot. The series gets away from that, but yeah. So that was me, just shotgunning a totally decent, ridiculous historical epic where people put on awesome accents nonstop.
I don't remember the last TV show I watched. Oh yes, I do. It was Halo. Fuck me, it was Halo. God damn it.
Does that count? Go before that.
Last TV show before Halo that I watched in full. Probably an anime. What was it? I have no fucking idea. I have legitimately no idea. The last thing that like exists as a construct in my mind is Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm sure I've watched something after that. No, absolutely zero idea what the last TV show I watched was.
More people should watch Our Flag Means Death. Great show. Rob, you want to pick another one? We can do a
Sure.
couple more as we wind down.
Sorry, I'm being too judicious.
Contemplative Rob.
Jesus
It's
Christ, dude.
how long do I need to let this long pod? Kato, don't edit any of that out.
Do not
People
edit
need to
a
sit,
single
People need to
fucking
sit
sound.
with that long silence.
Other. What?
Oh, at
Patrick,
the
at the bottom of our sheet, there's a thing that says other.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what that means.
Hang on, I'm creating a new spreadsheet.
Okay.
What?
I guess there's like an overflow. It'll only show a certain amount, but then you have to see that in a spreadsheet.
I must
as opposed to
open
seeing
it.
in...
What? It opens it as an XML.
Like an actual... Okay.
Oh, man. Oh, this is cursed. Okay. Fuck it.
Yeah?
What's the coldest temperature you've ever experienced?
Oh. Well, I think this is actually two questions. What is the coldest you've ever felt, and what is the coldest temperature you've ever experienced? Because those are two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are two wildly different things. I think for me it's probably -4, -5. So not too bad.
This is hard. Like, having grown up in the Midwest, this is like a difficult thing to pinpoint.
Yeah, I've
because,
had
I've had like
negative 30 days. I feel like.
Yeah, like there was a stretch in Chicago 7 years ago. It was like 3 days where it was just generally advised to, like, they canceled school and everything because you could be frostbitten within. They don't want kids standing at the corner waiting for their school buses because frostbite could set in within like 10-15 minutes. Like, it was that bitterly cold outside. That week that happened, my wife was out of town, and I think there was something I went to go get from the mail. And so this is the last apartment we had, or second to last apartment we had in Chicago. I can't remember, but it doesn't. Regardless, and I was wearing like pajama wear. It was like early in the morning, and I didn't have any socks on. I just had shoes on, and at least there was a small stairwell to the front door. It wasn't just like I was leaving the apartment and going outside. But I messed up the locks, like what I should be setting it to on. Like, this is a door that when it shuts, it locks.
I never want one of those. I'm like, if I want it locked, I will turn the deadbolt. I never want a door that locks automatically.
So this is the week in which this happens, in which we were advised to not be anywhere near the outside. I at least am technically inside, but cannot. I am in no condition to leave the apartment to go take care of anything because I cannot get back into the apartment. My phone is in there. I don't have any way of contacting anyone. And the actual complex we were in did not house a lot of other apartments. It wasn't like I had, okay, I've got 100 options of people to go find help. There were 3. And none of them were home. And so in a real pickle. Not really sure, not really worried about dying per se.
What are you wearing again?
Just like sweatpants and a t-shirt and like bare feet. I can't, there's no way for me to like leave to go address this. And somehow someone else in the building also, they happen to lock themselves out of their car out in front. And I'm sitting there essentially sort of like resigned to the fact that so my wife wasn't out of town, but I was like, I'm just gonna have to chill here till she gets home, and then we'll just figure it out. So it's gonna be a long slog of a day. And just turns out that there was someone locked out of their car. They came in, saw me, and I was like, hey, can I use your phone? I need to get like a locksmith or talk to my wife to get a locksmith. And they're like, sure, like you can, here's my phone. Like I'm just going back to my apartment for a little bit. And they let me come into their apartment, chill. But because it was a day that things were so poorly weather-wise, there was no locksmiths were available. Like they were just like, everyone is doing something. Like you are not going to get someone to help you with your door for days potentially. I'm like, well, okay. And thankfully, I'm like the very kind neighbors, like, you can hang out here as long as you need. Like, don't worry about it. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. That doesn't get me into my apartment. But then they were like, well, I'm locked out of my car. I actually managed to get a locksmith, but they're like, they specialize in, like, that's how they advertise themselves, as like, helping people get into their cars. And I'm like, well, do you think you could just ask them if they could do the door? And like, is that I feel like that falls into hopefully a similar specialty. And turns out that it did. And that person just out of the grandest of coincidences was able to come in, and they didn't have to break the lock either. They were able to just like snap
So
it
were they
open.
Slim Jimming the car?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Because I'm wondering, usually those things that auto lock are like a button lock type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as I understand it, those are not too hard to overcome.
I can't remember. Yeah, so I think that's what they're doing for the car, but like for the door lock, it was like he had like a thing that like it kind of wedged in, if I recall correctly, and it just, I mean, he looked at me, he's like, there are two options here. I'm going to use this tool and it's going to pop and we're going to get in, or you're in for like a really expensive day. I was like, okay, I don't have an option here. That was the one key we have and it's in that house. Let's pop it. And fortunately it popped and we didn't have to like destroy the door in the process. So that is at least what I think of when I think of the cold. It was very cold outside and I could not go outside to get help, but thankfully I was able to get back into my apartment.
That is the coldest temperature you've ever physically experienced. The coldest you've ever felt.
Well, no, I feel like it's the most proximity I've had to the coldest I've been in like frostbite level weather. It's just, I guess the cold does, like, I don't have a story except that like I grew up in the Midwest, and so it's just like,
felt frostbite level weather? Like, have you felt frostbite level cold? I guess is my question. Like, were you out in it long enough?
I just haven't developed frostbite as a result. Like I know you just learn, having been around that weather enough. It's like, this is how long you can be out safely if you actually need to do something. And so yes, I've experienced frostbite level weather without developing the frostbite part.
Got it. Rob?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a similar sort of thing. Like when I lived up in Wisconsin, I was like 30 miles south of Green Bay. I think we had a cold snap there that was like one of those record lows. I'm not sure if it was like as cold or colder than like the cold snap we had in like the Chicago area in like 1996 or something around there. So Wisconsin had a cold snap like that, but nothing like that, because those were usually days where it was like, actually, hold on, I need to back up. I forgot. We lost power to my family's house during a major cold snap in Indiana. And so we had multiple days where we were heating the house with a fireplace, and we could all just like hang out in the living room by the fireplace. And once we were out of sunlight, you're reading by firelight.
We had that happen a couple winters ago. Power went out in the middle of winter. Jessica, my oldest, I think it was that first winter, so she was like 4 or 5 months at the time. We did the first night at the house thinking, it's all right, the house has been heated enough, we can put on the fireplace, we'll sleep downstairs. Like, we're not putting the child in any danger, and then hopefully the power will just come back tomorrow. Woke up the next day, power had not come back. We gave it till around lunchtime, and then just went to my mom's house. It's like, we can't, like, we'd probably be okay doing a second night, but it was just like I didn't want to chance anything with the child.
So we toughed it out, and I will say, like, I have fond memories of this because I remember when it was time to go to bed. Ironically, I think the fire ended up making the extremities of the house even colder because it was pulling air through.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember this distinctly. When I went into my bedroom, there wasn't like a hard frost on like the paint along the floor and ceilings, but like the room had kind of a weird glisten sheen to it, because like there were little like crystals building up on some of the surfaces. But I will also say I have never felt cozier sleeping in a bed. Like in my life, I have never felt as like cozy and sleepy as like being under just like 4 comforters, blankets, everything, and just sort of sleeping through the night like that. But this all stopped being fun when our power outage, for a while there, it was like half the town was out of power. We were on one of those like small parts of the grid where like there's 4 houses on this part of the grid. And so nobody's going to prioritize sending a truck around to bring 4 houses online.
Yep.
And so we watched everyone around us get power back up. Like everyone's just like, for them the blizzard was over in like a day. And for us it was like 5 days.
Jesus.
So that was rough. And yet still, none of that, to Ren's point, none of that feels as cold in my memory as when I was commuting to this company up in Green Bay, sort of my last stop before being a freelancer. I would drive up there really early, and US 41 Wisconsin is just this expanse through like treeless flatland between Appleton and Green Bay. And it was kind of an eerie drive because you would just see cars, like people would slide off the road throughout that winter and just kind of abandon their car, and nobody would come get it.
I mean, those kinds of roads were also when you would have blizzards that have high wind pickup. You'll just feel the car. Like it almost feels like the car has just been pushed to the side by a couple of inches as like you're trying to navigate these like flatland farm areas in the dead of winter, where there would be times where like my wife and I would just pull the car over. It's like it feels fucking dangerous to keep going. I can feel the car. The only reason I'm keeping it on the road is because I am like constantly micro adjusting the steering wheel to keep it going forward.
But the worst part of that, and this is the coldest I ever felt, was like on the mornings when I'd have to like get gas on the way up. And so like there is no place colder in my memory than like a truck stop on the side of 41 at like 6 a.m. In Wisconsin in the dead of winter with like a stiff breeze blowing across, because you'd be out there and everything just hurts to touch. Like the metal of the pump handle is just like agony to put your hand on, even through a glove. And you just stand out there tanking up your car, and for like, those, 2, 3, 5 minutes or whatever, it was, because again, it's early in the morning too, so your temperature's already kind of low. You're not fully like awake and like limber yet, and so it was just unbearable for those 5 minutes. It's the coldest I've ever felt, because it was just unreal how much it cut through you.
I actually thought in the process of this to actually have like an actual answer, which is to the coldest I've ever felt, which is that when I was like 7 or 8, we used to do this, and we only did it once. We called it Creek Wars, because there was this creek that ran down from where my family spent time in Wisconsin every summer. And this creek, which ran right into the lake, was so fucking cold. Like just icy to the touch, even in like the height of summer. It is just, once it gets into that lake, boy, it's like a warm bath. Get in that water, you're fine. But this creek is just unbelievably cold. And so one summer, with like 3 other friends, we got it into our heads that what if we had a competition? And we were small enough that in this creek, if you kind of scrunched yourself down, you could get up to neck height of the water. And there's like kind of like sandy, like rocks below that you could kind of sit in. And so we all sat in this water, and the competition was just how long can you stay in this objectively freezing water. And then who can win?
Win.
I did win. At what cost? To the point of like scrambling my brain. Like we abandoned the game because one of our friends looked like they were going to die. Like we thought they were having to go to the hospital and they wouldn't get out. We're like, no, like, hey, the game's not funny anymore. Like you look sickly. He gets out. I claim victory, but claiming victory was us taking our sickly looking friend down to where my parents were a block or two away, them asking me questions about what happened and realizing I couldn't give basic answers. I could not answer like what had happened. That I was asked to do basic math, could not give accurate responses. So then
because you were trying to cover up what you'd done, or because your brain was fucking like
my brain
frozen?
was frozen. Yes. So basically, yes, I had a like mild version of hypothermia. And as someone in the chat points out, and like took me up to one of the houses. Like one of the weirdest sensations I've ever felt, where like I was in hot water and could not feel it, like just nothing. Like I know water was
Jesus
running over
Christ,
me,
Patrick.
could not feel the water. And fortunately, like a good friend of ours up there is a nurse. She's like, he's fine. The brain stuff is a early sign of like mild hypothermia. Like, but there's like it'll be okay. Just warm him up in a shower, give him a little bit, and like he'll be okay. And I came out the other side, but yeah. So that is the coldest I have ever felt. I won the game, but got a little
That's an extremely
hypothermia as a
Patrick
treat.
story.
This is pain to me. My coldest I've ever felt was actually this year. I was getting a COVID test in New York. Not even that cold. It was like 20 degrees out. But I was in 20-degree weather in weather inappropriate clothes for 4 hours straight. And I was in severe, like my extremities were in severe pain because I don't have like good circulation. And so I was in like extremely severe, like I was starting to get confused and was in severe pain because I was outside for 4 consecutive hours waiting to get a COVID test. The thing that got me with that one was like it wasn't that cold, but I was out in it for so long that it just started to like shred me. And I was like wearing my standard like cargo pants and like I was wearing a thick coat, but like my pants just weren't thick enough. And I started to like be in like very intense pain throughout like all of my extremities. It was a short story, but
Yeah.
that is mine.
I think sometimes it is the cold is one of those things that you frequently don't feel it right away. Like the story that Rob tells, like being able to feel it right as you get out, like in front of a gas station. But usually it's more over time you realize, like me being in the creek, like I'm fine, like, but it's just if your body is being disfigured by the cold slowly, you don't quite realize exactly how you're responding to it until you've become messed up. All right, well, let's do one more. Let's see. Wow. Is it possible to have a jigsaw puzzle as Waypoint merch? I don't know, but that would be cool. I don't know
Probably
what it would
ask.
be. I guess you could do that art, that original
I just don't
Waypoint
want to
art.
glorify a character like that.
A what?
Oh, stupid.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That was fucking dumb.
Okay. Would you rather never see dry land again, aka a life spent at sea, or never see the sky again, a life spent underground?
Underground.
I would choose the sea.
So my initial impulse was Ren's underground, but then my thought is, if I'm at sea, do I have a mega yacht? Like, do I essentially have a small city?
Yeah, there were no constraints put on this. There were no like.
Okay, well,
But you could also have, if you've seen, the fourth Matrix film, you could be underground and then have the technology to simulate the sky.
So here's my thing.
And also you could still be in the water underground. Like you could have everything in theory.
I am convinced I could be happy on a 44 gun frigate. And I wouldn't need anything more than that. I would also say here's the thing I am skeptical of. The quality, like the recirculated air underground.
Yeah.
I just don't buy the lack of freshness. No matter how good the scrubbers are, no matter how I just don't buy that the lack of natural breezes, the lack of truly fresh air that tastes different. I just don't buy that would not slowly break me. No matter how good the sky projection is, the lighting, etc. I just don't buy it. I think I would choose the sea because I think it is still being on the surface would be preferable with all the discomforts that would be coming with that.
Yeah, I also think I think Patrick makes a good point about how big is the boat? Because your ability to feel, you're more likely to get fucking owned in the sea. You are more likely to get your shit rocked by a wave than you are
True.
to die underground. Big wave will fucking end you. You will be gone.
I gotta watch.
Not with me as captain.
You know what, Rob? That's a really good point.
You won't catch me being caught unawares by a following sea.
Oh my god.
Would we run out of, Rob, if I went on your boat, would we run out of the ability to make drinks though?
We'd sail anywhere, Patrick.
But in this world, is everything...
You ever heard of a little place called Margaritaville?
There's no land. You don't get
land gone?
You don't get to play ocean. You don't get to play. I mean, you're in the ocean, but you don't get to play ocean.
No. Didn't say.
Yes, it
we
did.
Can't pull into harbors.
It
I can't
said
go ashore.
You can never see.
But
it said never see dry land again.
Would you rather never see? But I guess the question here is, by never see dry land again, does that mean literally eyesight, or does it mean you just can't get on? You can't step on it.
I think that you cannot see. You are in open ocean. You are in open ocean. That is what that means to me.
Well, then hold on. We are in two totally, because now the question presupposes that we have some sort of underground, fully operational, life-sustaining habitat.
Yes.
We're in an underground arcology.
Yes, that is what this is presupposing.
Versus an ocean-going arcology.
How does this work in Waterworld? I don't
hey,
remember.
That movie doesn't go real good for those guys. Isn't that the whole thing? Is that it's not going very well?
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't come without its challenges, but yeah, they have floating cities.
So hold on. If it is a question of the surface, dry land on the surface, terra firma as we know it, is not accessible, then I would probably say, give me the natural caverns that we've turned into giant greenhouses and what that seems more feasible than doing all this stuff in the context of sailing on or surviving beneath the ocean.
God, wait. Now someone is suggesting that this is just China Medieval's The Scar, and I really like that book, and this is maybe convincing me. That book fucking rules. Y'all ever seen this? Y'all ever read The Scar by China Medieval? That shit whips. It's a bunch of pirates who live in a city of boats tied together. That is a moving city that just kind of floats across the ocean. But they're also, their whole thing as a society is that they fucking rule at bringing people in because they're just all fucked up weirdos who ended up in this place. And so it is they're all pirates, sure, but they're like weird knowledge pirates who love fucking libraries and have like the biggest library in the entire world. Exists on this like massive like this like massive ocean city. It's sick. Also the follow-up book, Iron Council, is probably my favorite. One of my favorite books. Iron Council is fucking brilliant. It is like one of the best books about revolution and about like human beings that I've ever read. I fucking love Iron Council, and people who don't like Iron Council and who like the other books are wrong. They're fools. Iron Council is just as much a boss log trilogy as all the others. Their whole thing is that the genre is about subverting genre, or the trilogy is about subverting genre. That's my take. Shout out to Iron Council.
It sounds like fun books.
Sorry, I got excited.
No, I didn't know about them. I think
people
I'm
are saying
curious.
maybe the author is canceled though. Did abuser?
That would be news to me since I wrote a paper about him.
Okay.
I wrote a
Just
final.
All right, we don't need to go. We don't need to go.
I can't.
It's just Twitch chat. Okay. Yeah. All right. Acknowledged. Twitch chat. We don't need to go down that road without doing some research. All right. Well, Rob, why don't you take us out? This was fun. I like doing this.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, we'll call that a show. That's a wrap. If you want more from Waypoint, you can follow us on Twitter, Waypoint. Obviously, if you're watching us live, you found us on Twitch. On Facebook and YouTube, we are Waypoint Vice. You can follow me at Rob Zachney on Twitter. Patrick, where can people follow you?
Follow me at Patrick Klepek.
Ren.
You can follow me on Twitter at Ren or Raven.
We're also going to be streaming from our New York office later this week. We're going to be finishing that keyboard and probably playing some other things. And hopefully dodging the rampant COVID in New York City. So good luck to us. All this is made possible. But the good things are made possible by the people who signed up at waypointplus.com. The exposure to COVID has nothing to do with you fine folks. So if you enjoy these streams, and if you are intrigued by the sound of this manhunting podcast, again, you can sign up at waypointplus.com. We are going to be getting into Heat later this month. Our theme music is by Bowen. The track is Miss You off the EP Pale Machine. Learn more at waypoint.zone/BOEN. For now, we are calling time on, when is this going up formally? Friday?
Probably Friday.
So yeah, we're calling time on this Monday, on this Friday. We'll talk to you again next week. Till then, fuck capitalism. Go home.
Later, gamers. Let's listen to Ocean.
Got me thinking of the coast and the ocean where the ladies all get their tans. I'm laying next to the sweet little honey where the ocean meets the sand.